The void of space was silent. No air. No sound. Only endless black stretched in every direction, broken only by the faint glow of distant stars. Across that emptiness, a vast armada drifted. It was the fleet of the Tsar Empire. Hundreds of alien warships, sharp and angular like blades, moved together in tight formation. Their engines burned blue fire. Their weapons glowed with restless energy. This fleet was not on a mission of peace. It was an army of conquest, and their target was Earth. 4 generations, the Tsar had conquered world after world. They had burned colonies. They had enslaved species. And each time, their fleets had returned stronger than before. To them, humanity was nothing more than the next weak prey. A species too young, too divided, too fragile to stand against a galactic empire. The commanders of the Tsar were confident. They had fought dozens of wars. They had destroyed countless civilizations. And never once had they known fear. But that would change. As the fleet entered the outer edge of the Sol system, the commander of the flagship, Lord Zareth, stood at the front of the bridge. His eyes were cold. His voice was sharp as he spoke. Humans will fall quickly. Their defenses are primitive. Their ships are slow. Their weapons are weak. This war will be short. The officers around him nodded in agreement. Reports from scouts confirmed what the Empire believed. Humans had no fleet capable of resisting. A few carriers. A few destroyers. Nothing compared to the might of the Tsar Armada. But then, something strange happened. One of the sensor operators looked up from his station. His skin turned pale, his voice trembling. "Commander, something is out there." Zareth turned. "Explain." The operator's hands shook as he adjusted the scanners. A shape appeared on the holographic display. At first it was small, almost invisible against the void. But slowly, it grew clearer. A single object drifting in the darkness. The bridge went quiet. It was a ship. Not human in design, or at least not like the ones they had seen before. It was massive. Larger than any human vessel recorded. Its hull was dark, covered in strange lines and patterns. Its surface seemed to absorb light, drinking in the glow of the nearby stars. At first, some officers laughed. "One ship? That is all they send. This will be amusing." But the laughter faded quickly. The ship did not move like prey. It moved like a predator. Slow, calm. Every turn deliberate. As if it was not rushing into battle but waiting, watching, judging. Lord Zareth narrowed his eyes. "Enhance the image." The hologram sharpened, and now they saw it clearly. The warship was built in a way that unsettled them. It did not have the fragile elegance of human carriers. It was brutal, functional, almost monstrous. Every angle looked like it was designed for war. Its hull was layered with armor so thick it seemed more fortress than ship. Its weapons were hidden, but the energy readings were off the scale. One officer whispered, This is not possible." The ship was not broadcasting any signals. No ID code. No communication. No lights. It simply floated in silence, facing the alien fleet like a hunter facing its prey. The silence on the bridge grew heavy. For the first time in centuries, the Tsar felt something they had not felt before. Uncertainty. Zareth clenched his jaw. "Scan it. Now." The scanners reached out, waves of data striking the human warship. But the results returned, empty. The readings made no sense. Weapons power unreadable. Engine type unknown. Shielding beyond measurable limits. The operator looked at his commander with fear in his eyes. We cannot see inside it. The ship is hiding itself." Zareth growled. "Impossible. No ship can block our scanners." And yet, here it was. The fleet moved closer, their ships tightening formation. But still, the warship did not move. It was as if the humans were saying, We are not afraid. The aliens began to whisper among themselves. Is this truly a human ship? Maybe it is something else, something they found. No, this is human. But different. Too different. The commander raised his hand for silence. His voice echoed through the bridge. Do not fear shadows. It is only one ship. We will destroy it. But though his words were strong, his eyes betrayed doubt. Because deep inside, even he felt it, the warship did not look like prey. It looked like death. The standoff continued. Hours passed. The alien fleet held position, waiting for the human ship to make its move. But the ship did nothing. It simply floated, silent, calm, patient. And the longer it waited, the more fear spread through the alien crews. On smaller ships, soldiers whispered in the halls. They say the human ship can kill a world with one shot. They say it is alive. They say it is watching us, even now. Stories spread faster than facts. And in those whispers, fear grew. Zareth ordered his ships to prepare weapons. But even then, none fired. Because some ancient instinct told them, firing first might be their last mistake. The warship still had not spoken. No message. No warning. No threat. But its silence was louder than any roar. On the bridge of the flagship, one young officer whispered words that froze everyone around him. This is not a ship for defense. This is a ship built to end wars. The commander glared at him, but the words could not be undone. Everyone had felt the same thought, deep inside, but no one had dared to say it. And now the thought was real. The aliens had come with arrogance. They believed humans would fall quickly. They believed this would be easy. But now, staring at the silent warship, they understood the truth. The fight was no longer certain. The outcome was no longer clear. And in that moment, for the first time, the Tsar Empire felt something new when looking at humanity. Not anger. Not hatred. But fear. Because they knew, this was only the first sight. And the real war had not even begun. A beam of plasma cut across the void. Bright. Deadly. The shot struck the warship's hull. And vanished. The plasma beam disappeared as if swallowed by the darkness. Not even a flicker of damage appeared. The human ship did not move. It did not return fire. It simply absorbed the attack. On the alien flagship, silence filled the bridge. What happened? Our sensors cannot explain it. It was as if the ship ate the shot. Fear deepened. The cruiser captain hesitated, sweat dripping down his scaled skin. He gave the order again. Fire all weapons. Dozens of plasma bolts. Missiles. Energy blasts. They lit up the void, a storm of firepower crashing into the warship. When the light faded, the ship was still there. Untouched. Silent. Calm. And then, its lights came on. The awakening. For the first time, the human warship moved. Its hull glowed faintly with blue light. Strange symbols lit up across its surface, alien yet human at the same time. Its engines roared to life, but the sound was not heard, it was felt. A vibration across the scanners. A pulse through the void. Every alien felt it in their bones. The warship turned slowly, its massive frame shifting until its front faced the cruiser that had fired. Weapons emerged from hidden ports, massive cannons unfolding like claws. The cruiser captain screamed orders. Shields to maximum. Prepare. But before he could finish, a single flash erupted from the warship. One shot. The Tsar cruiser vanished. Not destroyed. Not broken. Simply gone, erased from existence. The alien fleet froze. No one spoke. No one moved. One shot. One ship erased. And the warship returned to silence. Its weapons folded back. Its lights dimmed again. It had made its point. The fear becomes real. Across the alien fleet, whispers became terror. It destroyed them with one shot. It did not even try. It is playing with us. This is not war. This is execution. Commanders tried to control their crews, shouting orders, demanding discipline. But discipline could not erase what they had seen. One ship had erased another in a heartbeat. Zareth stood on the flagship bridge, his claws digging into the metal rail. His voice was low, heavy with something he would not admit was fear. This is no ordinary ship. This is a message. And deep down, every Tsar knew he was right. The humans had not come to beg. They had not come to fight a desperate defense. They had sent this ship for one reason: to warn them. And in the black silence of space, the Tsar Empire finally understood the truth. They were no longer hunters. They were the hunted. The whispers of fear had become real. And the war had only just begun. The alien fleet remained frozen in the black ocean of space. Hundreds of warships, yet none dared to move. Their engines hummed. Their weapons glowed faint red. But no captain gave the order to fire. Because in front of them, one single human warship floated in silence. It did not move. It did not signal. It simply watched. And the longer it remained still, the more it felt alive. The growing unease. Inside the flagship of the Tsar Empire, Lord Zareth stood tall. His hands were behind his back, but his claws tapped against one another, betraying his unease. Around him, officers kept their eyes down, afraid to speak. The silence on the bridge was heavier than the silence of space. Finally, one officer broke it. "Commander," he whispered, "perhaps we should strike now." Zareth turned his head slowly. His voice was calm but sharp as a blade. "You fear this ship?" The officer swallowed hard. "I do not fear, my lord. But the crews, they whisper. They say it is cursed. That it is not truly human." Murmurs spread among the others. They had all heard the whispers. Soldiers on smaller ships were telling stories. Some said the human ship was built from the bones of a dead star. Others said it carried the souls of fallen warriors inside its hull. One rumor even claimed the ship had no crew at all, that it was alive, a machine that thought and hunted like a predator. Zaretha's eyes narrowed. "Rumors are for children. We are warriors." But even as he said it, he could feel it. The fear was growing. The silent predator. The human warship did not act like prey. Prey runs. Prey hides. Prey begs for mercy. This ship did none of those things. It floated calmly, as if it had all the time in the universe. As if the alien fleet did not matter. As if it knew the outcome already. The design of the ship disturbed the Tsar commanders. Its surface seemed wrong. Too dark. Too sharp. The lines of its armor were strange, almost like scars. And the way it absorbed the light of nearby stars made it appear more shadow than metal. One alien officer whispered, unable to stop himself. "It is watching us." Heads turned sharply toward him. But no one corrected him. Because they all felt it too. The ship was watching. Silent. Patient. Waiting. And every second it remained still, fear spread deeper into the hearts of the Tsar soldiers. The scanners fail. Zareth barked an order. "Scan it again. Use full power. I want every detail." The sensor crews obeyed. Beams of energy reached across the void, touching the warship's hull. The results came back, wrong. Shields unreadable. Weapons unknown. Energy core, impossible. Too high. Beyond limits. The operator looked pale as he read the results. His voice shook. "My lord, this ship has no weakness." Zaretha's claws clenched. "Every ship has a weakness. Find it." But scan after scan failed. It was like staring into a void. The ship revealed nothing. On the other vessels of the fleet, captains cursed as their scanners also failed. Some began to argue with each other through comm channels. "It is cloaking itself." "No, It is corrupting our systems. Then why does it not attack? The unanswered question hung heavy. Why was it waiting? The whisper spreads. Fear is like fire. Once lit, it spreads quickly. And across the fleet, fear was burning. In the mess halls of the smaller destroyers, soldiers sat in silence. They did not eat. They did not talk. Their eyes stared at the walls, lost in thought. Some muttered prayers to gods long forgotten. Others sharpened their blades again and again, as if steel could protect them from what floated outside. On one ship, a young warrior whispered, "Perhaps humans are not weak. Perhaps this is why they survive." An older warrior shook his head. "Do not speak like that. Humanity is nothing. They are fragile, divided. They have no empire. They have no strength." But the young one only stared out at the dark silhouette of the warship. "Then why does one ship hold us all here?" No one answered. The commanders debate. In the high council chamber aboard the flagship, the Tsar commanders gathered. The chamber was large, filled with cold metal and glowing holograms of the fleet. Around the table, the senior captains argued. "We must strike first. End this before it spreads fear further. If it is stronger than it appears, we risk the entire fleet. It is one ship. Are you all cowards? And if it is not one ship? What if it is a signal? What if more are coming?" The arguments grew louder, angrier. Some slammed their fists on the table. Others shouted over each other. Finally, Zareth stood. His voice thundered. "Enough." The chamber went silent. Zareth looked at each of them with hard eyes. "We are warriors of the Tsar Empire. We do not bow to fear. This ship may disturb us, but it bleeds like all ships. We will test it. A single cruiser will fire. Nothing more." Murmurs filled the chamber. Some agreed. Others looked pale. But none dared to challenge him openly. The first move. A single Tsar cruiser broke formation. Its engines burned bright as it moved forward, closer to the warship. Every alien eye in the fleet watched. Inside the cruiser, the captain gave the order. "Weapons ready. Target the human ship." The crew obeyed, though their hands trembled. Weapons powered up. Cannons glowed. Energy hummed. The target lock beeped. The warship remained still. The captain's jaw tightened. Fire. The void of space had never felt so heavy. Where once the Tsar fleet moved with pride and confidence, now it floated in silence. Hundreds of warships, armed with the firepower to burn worlds, waited like frightened animals. They did not advance. They did not fire again. Because one human warship had erased a cruiser in a single flash. And then it had gone still. It did not attack the rest. It did not chase them. It simply returned to silence, as if daring them to test it again. The fear in the fleet. On board the smaller destroyers, soldiers whispered in hushed tones. Their voices carried through dark corridors. One shot. It killed an entire ship. It could kill us all. It does not even care about us. Some soldiers sharpened their blades nervously. Others prayed to forgotten gods. Some sat in silence, unable to move, their minds crushed by fear. The Tsar were warriors. They had fought for centuries. But never had they seen an enemy like this. Never had they felt so powerless. Even the captains struggled. On one bridge, an officer shouted at his commander. "We cannot just sit here. We must retreat." But retreat was forbidden. The Empire did not allow it. To retreat was shame. To retreat was death. And yet, the thought grew stronger with every passing moment. The council divides. Inside the flagship, the High Council of Commanders gathered again. Their voices were sharp, filled with anger and fear. "It is a weapon of mass destruction," one captain roared. "No, it is a bluff," another shouted. "It destroyed one cruiser to scare us. Nothing more." And if it is not a bluff, a third hissed. If it can erase our entire fleet, what then? The chamber shook with arguments. Some wanted to fight. Some wanted to retreat. None could agree. At the center of it all stood Lord Zareth. His eyes were fixed on the hologram of the human ship. Silent. Still. Waiting. Silence! He finally thundered, his voice cutting through the chaos. The chamber fell quiet. Zareth's voice was calm, but the weight of his words pressed on everyone. This ship is not here to fight. If it wished to destroy us, it would have done so already. No. This ship is here with a purpose. It is here to send a message. The commanders exchanged nervous glances. But what message? One asked quietly. None answered. The first transmission. Then, without warning, the warship spoke. A burst of energy cut through the void. Alien sensors lit up as a transmission filled every ship in the fleet. Not static. Not code. A voice. It was calm, cold, human. This is not defense. This is warning. The words echoed through every bridge, every corridor, every chamber of the Tsar fleet. The voice was steady, without emotion. Not a plea. Not a threat. Simply, truth. The soldiers froze. Officers stared at their consoles. Commanders stood speechless. A warning. That was all. The weight of history. The Tsar scrambled to analyze the message. Was it real? Was it a recording? Was it a bluff? But as they debated, memories stirred in their archives. Records of human wars. Data collected over centuries of watching Earth. They remembered. Humanity had fought countless wars, not against empires or alien fleets, but against themselves. Civil wars. Global wars. Endless cycles of destruction and rebuilding. Again and again, humanity had faced extinction by its own hand. And yet, every time they survived. They adapted. They rebuilt. They grew stronger. The Tsar realized something they had ignored. Humanity had been forged in war. Not one great war, but many. Not against one enemy, but against countless threats. They were not weak because of this. They were strong because of it. And now, standing before the warship, the truth became clear. If humanity built such a vessel, it was not for defense. It was because they understood war better than anyone. The growing dread. On the flagship bridge, Zareth's claws tapped against the railing. His eyes narrowed as he listened to the silence after the message. A warning. That meant more existed. That meant this ship was not alone. His officers whispered among themselves. If one ship can erase a cruiser, imagine an entire fleet. What if Earth has hundreds of these? No empire could stand against that. The thought spread like poison. If humanity could build one, they could build many. If this was just their first sight, what awaited them deeper inside human space? The idea of attacking Earth suddenly felt less like conquest, and more like suicide. The weapon awakens. And then, as if to remind them, the warship began to charge its weapon again. Blue light spread across its hull, glowing brighter, brighter, until the entire ship shone like a star. The energy readings spiked beyond measure. Consoles screamed warnings. Sensors failed to calculate. Every alien heart froze. The ship was aiming, but it did not aim at them. Instead, it turned slightly, pointing its weapon toward a distant asteroid drifting in the void. The asteroid was massive, larger than a city. The warship fired. A single beam of blinding light cut across space. For 1 second, the asteroid existed. The next, it was gone. Not shattered. Not broken. Erased. The void where it had floated was now empty. The alien crews gasped. Fear turned to terror. If that shot had been aimed at them, their entire fleet would already be dust. The warship powered down. Its lights dimmed. Once again, it drifted silently. Waiting. watching. The message is clear. The silence that followed was unbearable. Zaratha's voice finally broke it, low and heavy. Do you see now? This ship is not a weapon of war. It is a weapon to end wars. His officers looked at him, their faces pale. None dared to disagree. The human message was clear. Leave. Do not test us. Do not bring war to Earth. Because if you do, you will not win. The fear across the stars. Whispers turned to truth. Across the fleet, across the empire, the story of the human warship would spread. The tale would travel faster than light, faster than any weapon. It would reach every world, every species, every commander. And the message would always be the same. Do not fight humanity. Do not test their strength. Do not awaken their wrath. Because when the aliens saw humanity's warship, they knew the fight was already over. The black ocean of space was still. The alien fleet floated like statues, hundreds of warships locked in silence. Every engine hummed softly, but none dared to push forward. Every cannon glowed faintly, but none fired. And before them, the human warship waited. It had destroyed an asteroid with one shot, erasing it from existence. It had erased a cruiser in a heartbeat. It had shown its power without hesitation. And then it had gone silent again. Not chasing. Not boasting. Not finishing the kill. It simply waited, forcing the Tsar Empire to make a choice. The breaking point. On the flagship, the air was thick with tension. Officers whispered. Soldiers muttered. Commanders argued. No one agreed. Fear twisted every thought, every word. One officer broke the silence. His voice trembled, but his words were sharp. My lord, we cannot face this ship. If we attack, we will lose everything. We must retreat. Another officer slammed his fist against the console. Retreat? You would shame the empire? We are Tsar. We do not run from prey. Prey. The first officer snapped back. His eyes were wide, his voice rising. Is that prey? That ship erased one of ours like it was nothing. It destroyed an asteroid the size of a city. If that weapon turns on us, we are dead before we even fire. The bridge filled with murmurs. The crew shifted uncomfortably, some nodding in agreement, others growling in anger. Finally, all eyes turned to Lord Zareth. The commander stood tall, but even his sharp eyes revealed unease. His claws tapped slowly against the railing, a habit he could not stop. We are warriors, he said at last. His voice was deep, steady, but quieter than usual. The Empire does not run. But... He paused, letting the silence press against them. The Empire also does not waste lives for pride. We will not strike without reason. His words did not bring peace. They only deepened the weight of the moment. Because everyone knew the truth, a choice had to be made. Fight. Or retreat. The argument of captains. In the council chamber, the captains of the fleet appeared through shimmering holograms. Their voices filled the chamber, clashing like blades. We must fight. If we retreat now, the humans will see us as weak. If we fight, we are already dead. Do you not understand what we face? We are hundreds of ships. It is only one. One that erased a cruiser in a breath. One that carries a weapon no empire has ever seen. The debate raged on. Some captains shouted with anger, others with fear. Some demanded glory, others begged for survival. One older captain spoke with a heavy voice. I have fought 100 battles. I have seen enemies stronger than us. But never have I felt what I feel now. This is not an enemy to fight. This is a wall we cannot climb. His words silenced the chamber. Zareth listened carefully. His eyes drifted to the hologram of the warship, still floating in silence outside. And for the first time in his long life, he realized something. This battle was not about strength. It was about survival. The test of pride. Not all agreed. A young, proud captain spoke loudly, his voice burning with defiance. If we retreat, the Empire will see us as cowards. Our people will spit on our names. We will lose honor. We must strike, even if we die. Better to fall in battle than flee in shame. Many nodded. Warriors who had grown under the banner of conquest, who had been taught that pride was greater than life. But others shook their heads. Fear gripped them tighter than honor. Another captain spoke in a cold, trembling voice. If we attack, we lose more than our honor. We lose our empire. If one ship can erase us, what happens when we face 10? Or 100? What happens when Earth sends its full fleet? His words spread through the council like poison. No one had dared to think it aloud. But now they all did. If this was only one ship, what else did humanity have? The moment of decision. The council fell into silence. The captains stared at one another, torn between pride and survival. And then, the warship spoke again. Its voice filled every ship, every chamber, every ear. Calm, cold, human. Leave now, or be erased. 4 words. That was all. But those 4 words broke the last defenses in the hearts of the Tsar. The choice was clear. The orders. On the flagship bridge, Zareth closed his eyes for a long moment. His claws tapped one final time, then stopped. When he opened his eyes, his voice was steady, but it carried the weight of 1,000 generations. "Signal the fleet," he said. "We retreat." The words fell heavy. Some officers gasped. Others lowered their heads. But none protested. Because deep down, they knew he was right. The retreat. Engines roared softly across the armada. One by one, the alien warships turned, their massive hulls shifting slowly away from the warship. Their formation broke. Their weapons dimmed. For the first time in the Empire's history, the great fleet retreated. Not from defeat in battle. Not from a stronger empire. But from fear. On every ship, soldiers sat in silence, unable to meet each other's eyes. Warriors who had once believed themselves unstoppable now felt shame burning inside them. But beneath the shame, there was relief. Relief that they had lived. The warship's silence. The human warship did not chase them. It did not fire again. It did not mock. It did not move. It simply watched as the fleet turned away. Silent, patient, calm. Like a predator letting its prey escape, because the kill was not needed. The realization. On the flagship, Zareth stood at the viewport, his eyes fixed on the shrinking silhouette of the human warship. He spoke softly, almost to himself. This was no battle. This was a lesson. An officer turned to him. "A lesson, my lord?" Zareth nodded slowly. "Yes. Humanity does not want war. But if war comes, they will not fight to win. They will fight to end. And no empire will survive that." His words chilled the bridge. Because they all knew it was true. The choice echoes. The fleet retreated into the void, engines burning as they slipped away from Earth's space. But the memory of that moment would never fade. The choice to leave would be remembered forever. Across the empire, across the galaxy, stories would spread. Stories of the human warship. Stories of the day the Tsar Armada turned and fled. Some would call it cowardice. Some would call it wisdom. But all would remember it as the day the galaxy realized. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was a force that even empires feared. And in the silence of space, the warship drifted once more into shadow. Its message complete. The choice had been made. The war was over before it began. The galaxy expected war. When the Tsar Empire sent its great fleet to Earth, the galaxy watched in silence. They expected fire. They expected destruction. They expected to see humanity crushed, like so many before them. But war never came. Instead, a single warship appeared. A ship of shadows. A ship that spoke only once. A ship that forced the Empire to make a choice. And in the end, the fleet turned away. No battle. No fire. No victory. Only silence. The retreat across the stars. The retreat of the Tsar fleet echoed across space. Their ships slipped back into the void, engines glowing faintly. The fleet that had once looked unstoppable now moved like wounded animals, ashamed, broken. Soldiers sat in silence, their claws restless, their eyes downcast. Commanders avoided one another's gaze. And yet, though shame filled them, so did relief. Relief that they had survived what could never be won. The war was over before it began. But no one forgot the reason. Behind them, drifting silently in the black, the human warship remained. Its lights dim, its weapons hidden once more, its massive hull waiting like a shadow in the void. It did not chase. It did not kill. It simply existed. And its existence was enough. The silence of fear. Across the fleet, whispers spread like wildfire. Why did it let us live? Why didn't it destroy us all? It wanted us to see. It wanted us to remember. The Tsar had fought countless enemies. They had seen courage, resistance, even defiance. But they had never seen this. Mercy born not of weakness, but of power. The warship had no need to destroy them. Its message had already been delivered. And that message was clear. Do not test humanity. The story spreads. When the fleet returned to the Empire, the news spread faster than light. Soldiers carried it in whispers. Captains carried it in reports. Civilians carried it in rumors. And soon, the story left the Empire and traveled to other worlds. The tale was always the same. A single human warship stood against the greatest fleet of the Empire. It erased a cruiser with one shot. It erased an asteroid with another. And then it spoke only once. Leave now, or be erased. And the Empire obeyed. The story grew larger with each telling. Some called the ship the shadow of Earth. Others called it the Endbringer. Some whispered it was not a ship at all, but a living thing, built from the pain and rage of humanity's wars. The truth mattered little. What mattered was the fear. And fear spread faster than any fleet. The Empire shaken. Inside the halls of the Tsar Empire, leaders argued in secret. We cannot allow this. If humanity grows stronger, they will threaten us. But we cannot defeat them. You saw what one ship did. Perhaps it was their only one. Or perhaps it was just the first. The Empire, once united in pride and conquest, now fractured in doubt. Their people questioned their strength. Their armies hesitated. Their fleets no longer felt invincible. Because in every shadow, in every silence, they feared another warship might be waiting. And that fear was stronger than any weapon. The human perspective. Back on Earth, humanity did not celebrate. There were no parades. No cheering crowds. No songs of victory. Because humanity knew what the galaxy did not. The warship had not been built for conquest. It had not been built to rule. It had been built because humanity understood war too well. Every century, every generation, humanity had bled. They had seen their own world torn apart by fire. They had learned what war truly meant. And from that pain, they built something no empire could ignore. Not a fleet. Not an army. But a message. The warship was not defense. It was warning. And that warning had worked. The galaxy reacts. Civilizations across the stars listened. Some were relieved. At last, they whispered, a force strong enough to stop the Empire. Others were afraid. If humanity can build such weapons, what will stop them from using them on us? And some were silent, watching, waiting. Because they understood something deeper. Humanity had not wanted this fight. But if another fight came, humanity would not stop at survival. They would not stop at victory. They would end it. The shadow remains. In the void of space, the warship vanished once more into hyperspace. Some said it returned to Earth. Some said it drifted between the stars, waiting for the next threat. Some said there were more, hidden across human space, silent guardians that would awaken only when needed. No one knew the truth. And perhaps that was the greatest weapon of all. The fear of the unknown. The lesson. The Tsar Empire, for the first time in its long history, had learned a lesson. Pride can win battles. Fear can win wars. And humanity had taught them both. Not with armies. Not with fleets. Not with destruction. But with silence. The end without battle. No shots were exchanged in the war for Earth. No grand battle was fought. No fleets clashed. And yet, it became one of the most important wars in galactic history. Because it ended not with fire, but with choice. The Empire chose to retreat. Humanity chose to warn, not destroy. And in that fragile balance, a new truth was born. Humanity did not need to fight to win. Sometimes, the greatest victory is the one where no battle is fought at all. The final whisper. Across the stars, in every shadowed corner of the galaxy, the same whisper spread. Do not test Earth. Do not test humanity. Because when the aliens saw humanity's warship, they knew the fight was already over.